Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got the future of Adidas and Jerry Lorenzo, some more sacred cows in the Nike archive set to return, Salehe Bembury making waves with Puma, and the week's hottest releases. Of course, we have our Hard Pass. All right, let's start the show with some hot takes. The end of Jerry Lorenzo's time with Adidas is near. Or is it? According to a post on Substack by Lois Sakani of Snobet News, Adidas will not be renewing their contract with Lorenzo and his Fear of God athletic sub-brands that runs until the end of the year. When Complex Sneakers reached out to Lorenzo for comment, he said that he had not heard about the rumors of the partnership ending and that he was deep into work on the Fear of God 2 that's dropping at the end of the year and the Fear of God 3 in 2025. Sakani has since updated her post with a comment from Adidas PR saying, "Whilst we don't commit on the details of our contracts, we can confirm we are already working on exciting plans for 2025 together." Now, notice, there's neither a confirmation or a denial from Lorenzo or Adidas about a contract renewal, just saying that the partnership will continue at least until 2025. Since the partnership was first announced in 2020, there have been a grand total of 5 Adidas Fear of God athletic silhouettes that dropped at retail, all in 2023 and 24. Fear of God Athletics 1, Fear of God Athletics Los Angeles, Athletics Adilet, Fear of God Athletics 86 High, and Low. While we bemoan the lateness of the release of these collections, we won't even get into the start and stop stint that Lorenzo had at Adidas basketball. Hard Pass did have some hope that the eventual release would re-energize the sneaker community after Lorenzo's run with Nike was well received. The reception so far has been mixed. The streets aren't exactly littered with Adidas Fear of God sneakers, nor has the demand for them at resale been burning up any charts. That's not to say the Fear of God brand isn't popping off, as evidenced by the number of essentials shirts and hoodies I've seen on friends and family and everyday people throughout the year. It's just that the shoes have not caught on. During Complex's conversation with Lorenzo, he claims that will change with the release of the Fear of God 2. He felt that the Fear of God 1 was compromised and ended up being more of a lifestyle shoe than he would have liked. The Fear of God 2 is, in his words, their first true uncompromised basketball shoe, and that the 3 poetically will be the best version of the promise dated back to December 2020. He also says that both Adidas and Fear of God will be in a better place after the 3 hits. 5 years is a long time to wait on a product that will allegedly put both parties in a better place. And you know what? Maybe it does live up to that promise. I'm certainly rooting for it because I want this industry to be in a better place. I just wonder if Adidas, who has been on a roll lately with Anthony Edwards in their catalog of classics, will feel the same way no matter how good the Fear of God 3 will be. Can they afford to retain a partner who has a one hot shoe every 5-year average? If this was rap beef, Jay-Z would call that, you know what? Congratulations to Salehe Bembury for doing the Jaylen Brown before Jaylen Brown even had a chance. He has signed on with Puma to help find the brand's next signature athlete and design the signature shoe of said athlete. While the news was very cool to hear and is another accomplishment to add to his amazing resume, the Puma deal is not exclusive and Salehe will still be able to work with other brands. You remember that Jaylen's sneaker ambitions include being able to work with multiple brands, simultaneously even. Not sure which brands will do that for an athlete, but hey, Jaylen, Salehe's deal just goes to show you how that anything is possible. ... In this week's, Nike is bringing what back news? The legendary original iterations of the PlayStation Air Force 1s and the Air Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard are both rumored to be getting 2025 releases, according to Nights Kicks and Soul Savvy, respectively. Wow, I always figured that Jordan Brand would bring back the original Shattered Backboards, especially with the 10th anniversary coming up, but the original PlayStation Air Force 1s are a bit of a shocker since Nike and PlayStation have teamed up on multiple occasions since and have never hinted at going back to the well. It's unconfirmed if the Air Force 1 will drop in the friends and family style that featured patent leather, or if it will use the original leather style that was found on sample pairs. All I know is that this is huge news that we can't tell co-writer right now because I'm petty. Not really. While he doesn't have that many sneaker grails anymore, this is one of them. He has wanted the PlayStation Air Force 1s ever since he saw that late Kobe Bryant picture holding up the shoes for the first time and giving that, ooh, this is hot face. But here's the neat thing about Co-Rider, and You know how much I dislike complimenting him. He won't care if this retro is a limited drop or a GR that's sitting at clearance. He just wants them. Just like he didn't care that his beloved home colorway of the Nike Air Penny 1 was an easy buy that bricked at retail, he will not care a single bit that I have a pair or you have a pair, as long as he gets one. And that's the way it should be. We can talk about whether or not these sacred kicks should retro, but once Nike makes the decision and brings them back, let the people enjoy them and stop gatekeeping. All right, let's move on to the pick of the week. It's the Nike Kobe 4 Pro Gold Medal. It's dropping on August 6th for $190. And returning for the first time since 2009 is this Nike Kobe 4 that celebrates the gold medal won by the Redeem Team, which was led by none other than Kobe Bean Bryant. It wasn't the easiest pair to buy even back then, and I don't expect it'll be any easier this time around, no matter how many Pro John Donahoe makes. It is kind of funny that there have been a number of gold medal Nike basketball shoes throughout the years, but we rarely see them on the court. Not even Kobe wore gold medal Hyperdunks during 2008. I kind of hope that changes next week when hopefully Team USA is competing for the gold, but I also get why it might be kind of pretentious and no one wants to jinx it. Before we move on to Hard Pass, I want to share this ad that I saw on Instagram by Snapple for their rewards program. You know, those gimmicks where you have to buy a dozen bottles that earn you points to redeem exclusive swag. Well, one of the prizes is for a pair of Nike Dunks in Snapple Kiwi strawberry colors painted by Stadium Custom Kicks, a prominent customizer in the space who has worked with the likes of Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts of the LA Dodgers. In order to redeem the Dunks, you need 25,000 points, which according to Snapple's fine print is the equivalent of buying $250 worth of Snapple product. I mean, that's not too much to ask, especially if you're really into Snapple, I guess. But before you go thinking I'm shilling for Snapple or asking for receipts so I can redeem those kicks, I'm not saying I'm not asking for receipts. Let's take a look at the fine print. Each custom pair of sneakers is hand painted and no two products are the same. Stadium Custom Kicks and Snapple are not affiliated with Nike Inc. or any of its subsidiaries or its affiliates. With Nike being in their litigious era, you might think, why bother incurring their wrath, right? When you place a pair of Nike Dunks on your promotional material and make them a prize, people are going to assume things, disclaimer or not. But who knows? Maybe there's a behind-the-scenes agreement between Nike and Snapple and this is no big deal. Because no money is being exchanged except the cost of the service Stadium Custom Kicks provided, it probably passes some sort of threshold that prevents Nike from taking any action. Regardless, this is still an interesting strategy for a brand like Snapple to take at a time when Nike is trying to reset the line between what's acceptable and what's out of line when it comes to sneaker customization. But let me know, what do you guys think down below? It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go. Like acting like we know what's going to happen next in the MCU. So, this past week has been a wild one if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it was also quite the roller coaster if you're a Class A hater of the comic book movie industry. San Diego Comic-Con was back in full force for the first time since the pandemic, and it just so happened to line up with the opening weekend of Deadpool and Wolverine, the only MCU movie premiering in 2024. After years of mostly good to mid MCU content with the occasional banger since Avengers Endgame, this weekend was seen by many as a make or break moment for the billion-dollar Disney property. Could a movie and a Hall H panel truly break the creative funk that Marvel has been in? And the answer to that, in our opinion, was sure, why not? It's not like we thought Phase 4 was that bad anyways. And why more people don't have that same opinion is beyond us. All right, let's first talk about why Marvel Studios are in the situation that they are in. We here at Hard Pass always felt the post-Endgame lull was inevitable. We've even talked about it in one of the first episodes of the show. After reaching such a satisfying conclusion, Marvel was always going to have a daunting task to follow up on that masterpiece in whatever path they decided to choose. It was going to divide fans. There were always going to be fans who preferred the good old days of Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, or more specifically, the actors who played them and reject anything new. Then there's the fans with, let's just say, unrealistic expectations. They're the ones who got a whiff of that Infinity War and Endgame greatness and expect everything to be on that level, conveniently forgetting that it took over a decade of movies of varying quality, hi Thor Dark World, you waste of 2 hours, you, to build up to that finale. Now, granted, most fans are like me and you, the hard pass viewer, who kind of just watch these movies and TV shows for what they are, but we're not the freaks who drive the engagement on social media and have the ears of Disney executives. Yeah, we get disappointed when a movie like The Eternals is a dumpster fire that should never be talked about again, but we don't dwell on it. We kind of just move on and hope the next thing is good. And that's what Phase 4, all the multiverse saga, has been. A collection of mostly good to mid MCU content with the occasional banger. Kinda like Phase 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, Secret Invasion was awful, but so was Iron Man 2. Y'all thought Multiverse of Madness was mid? You know what was also mid? Age of Ultron. Remember Spider-Man No Way Home? That was a Phase 4 banger on par with earlier bangers like Winter Soldier and Black Panther. Look, even I'll admit the banger to good to mid to trash ratio isn't as great as it once was. But that's the curse of success. Marvel took the Disney Plus gamble, and while we don't think the shows were all terrible, we're clearly in the minority in that opinion. We're not all going to share the same sentiments when it comes to these films, just like we wouldn't share the same sentiments if these were different stories coming out monthly in comic book form. What we can't fall into is the trap of acting like every movie or casting call is going to be the one that saves or sinks the MCU. So, about last weekend. Let's start with Deadpool and Wolverine. No specific spoilers here for those of you who are waiting for this to drop on Disney Plus, like a lot of friends that I and co-writer Noah are doing, but let's talk big picture. Did the movie save the MCU? I mean, I disagree that the MCU needs saving, but was this the banger that everybody was hoping for? Yes, but also no. Because if you've been consuming the superhero movie content machine for not just the entirety of the MCU, but the entirety of the Fox X-Men era that goes all the way back to the year 2000, then yes, this was the banger that you've been waiting for. The Deadpool series is famous for its in-jokes and fourth wall breaks, but Deadpool and Wolverine takes the meta conversation to its apex, pulling not just from stuff that happened in the movies and comics, but behind the scenes drama between actors and studios. Like, you have to know about movies in development hell and who was married to who in real life. It gets that deep. Deadpool and Wolverine is your reward for not just being a comic book superfan, but for being terminally online, hopefully in a non-toxic way. On the flip side, if you're a casual moviegoer who's seen some MCU content and doesn't live or die for it, this might be the most impenetrable shit ever. Like, I can see somebody watching this and enjoying the novelty of Deadpool and Wolverine beating each other to bloody pulps, but when Ryan Reynolds goes full Ryan Reynolds and says something so obscure you need those old school comic book panels where they explain to you what issue you need to read to get the reference, it's probably a turnoff. Your level of investment in not just the MCU, but the concept of comic books and Hollywood drama is going to determine your enjoyment of Deadpool and Wolverine. For what it's worth, we freaking loved it and accept the many flaws it has in telling a cohesive story. Like, a good idea for the Disney Plus version of this movie would be to include QR codes that pop up on the screen every time they make a reference or pay homage to a classic moment in the comics. You'd probably need to carve out half a day to watch the movie that way, but hey, that's the price you pay when you sign up for a story that never ends. And speaking of things that never end, the MCU Hall H panel at Comic-Con, because capitalism says that we have to keep the story going and force Hugh Jackman to keep playing Wolverine until he's 90, Robert Downey Jr. is back as Doctor Doom. Well, he's in an alternate universe where he plays a character that is Doctor Doom, but you get the idea. How did we get here? Well, Jonathan Majors' legal issues and the lukewarm reception to the rollout of Kang is why we're here, but that's not the only reason. The pandemic forced some movies and Disney Plus shows to alter plans. The actors and writers' strikes also forced changes, but the biggest setback was the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman. After the record-breaking success of the first movie and where Boseman was positioned post-Endgame, Black Panther was set to be the one to take the torch from Iron Man as the face of the MCU. Losing your North Star is kind of a big deal, man. So yeah, while the phrase creatively bankrupt has been at times thrown in the face of the MCU, I don't agree that it's always a fair critique, which leads us to the return of Downey. Without Kang and 2 Avengers movies on the way, there was no Thanos-level big bad to set the stakes. But there is a Fantastic Four movie on the way, and Marvel's first family has an iconic big bad. Switch out Kang Dynasty for Doomsday, and boom, You've got the Infinity War, the Secret Wars Endgame. But who could play Doom? Who has the gravitas and the goodwill from the community to portray such an iconic villain? Not gonna lie, right before they revealed Downey, someone on the stage said that this was the greatest actor or something like that. And my first thought was, oh wow, they got Denzel Washington. How wild would that have been to see Denzel play Doom? Side note, I couldn't care less about Gladiator 2 when it was announced, but after seeing that trailer with Denzel just doing Denzel things, yeah, I'm sold. Anyways, just like Deadpool and Wolverine, you can look at this from the perspective of Marvel has no more ideas. They're bringing old favorites back from the dead and catering to their core base instead of expanding and introducing new characters. Like, you can almost imagine Kevin Feige showing up to Downey's doorstep and Downey's doing the Thanos, "You could not live with your own failure. And where did that bring you?" Back to me bit. From a sneakerhead's perspective, this is like Nike bringing back the Wu-Tang Dunks, the PlayStation Air Force Ones, and the shattered backboards in one weekend. We choose to look at all of the circumstances that led to this decision and say, yeah, sure, why not? Let it play out. If this turns out to be the last gasp for the MCU and it forces Disney to rethink everything before they try out the X-Men, that's no big deal to us. If this decision rights the ship, that's cool too. Can't take this stuff too seriously, people. Like, DC is just next door, and it's totally possible that their rebooted cinematic universe could overtake the MCU. That would be cool as long as we stop listening to somebody who thinks Black Adam is anything more than a C-list character. Let's just all enjoy these movies, critique them if they're bad, appreciate them if they're good, and move on to the next thing. I feel like I could extend that message to sneakers, but then this show would run really long, so we won't. Well, for now. Stay tuned. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.